Welcome back to AK Comaverse. Now today we have a video from It's Rascal, how Landfall is taking over indie games. Now if y'all want to go check out the original, I'll put it in the comments. This is my first time checking out It's Rascal, so let's get straight into the video.
There are thousands of indie games that release every single year. The competition in the indie space is growing and strategies are constantly evolving. Yet despite this, Landfall Games has continued to dominate the indie scene of games and has proved themselves as one of the most successful indie studios ever. And the reasoning
I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. When you get to a certain level, do you still consider yourself an indie or not? I know indie like publishing and stuff like that, cool. But at this size, like, what are we calling them at that point? They can't be indie no more. They're a studio. They're a pretty big body. Let me know in the comments how I'm tweaking, because I might be.
behind their crazy track record is not luck at all. And it's not even necessarily that their games are always the best.
Oh my days! Was that totally accurate value simulator? I remember making a video on those. Now I am trying to get back into more of these indie type of games. You know, I have said I want to play 100 different games on this channel right here this year. I don't know if that's gonna happen. I also said I want to like platinum 5 games. I think that might come true. But if y'all have any indie games you want to see me play, let me know in the comments, because bro, they're always so much fun.
Record is not luck at all. And it's not even necessarily that their games are always the best. The fact is, there's plenty of good games that are getting released that don't get near the same level of success that Landfall games do. Yes, Landfall's games are amazing, but they also have a ton of other strategies that they use in order to make sure that every single game gets the recognition it deserves. Let's break it down.
Let's break it down.
Once a studio releases their first big successful game, it's very easy to want to chase something way bigger for the next project. I mean, in practice, it makes sense. You have the budget and resources now. Look at games like Hollow Knight, for example. That was Team Cherry's first major hit. Even though Hollow Knight was made in around 4 years on a limited budget, its sequel, Silksong, still hasn't come out yet because they're trying to do something far more ambitious. They have more resources and expectations, but also a player base that's expecting something so much more impressive as well. That kind of pressure naturally leads developers to larger ideas and a much larger scoped game. I mean,
is that a bad thing though? Do you want your developers dropping the same thing over and over again, and then whilst dropping it over and over again in a shorter and shorter time span? Because that is exactly what happens to Telltale's games, bruh. And I mean, look at them now. So maybe it's a great thing.
We have seen this kind of pressure literally make game developers have to take a break or stop game development altogether, because the longer they spend in development, the higher the expectations by their fans are.
It's at the point where I'm actually getting like death threats in my inbox because I'm not posting Carlson devlogs, and it's kind of weird.
Damn.
All that pressure is making it very hard to work on Carlson the way that I want to.
For a legendary IP like Hollow Knight, this isn't near as much of a problem, especially since they're making a sequel and not a whole new IP altogether. People will wait for years because they already love the game and the studio, and they trust the developers to put out something amazing. But what if you're trying to build
GTA 6? I'm just saying, we trust them so much. GTA 6, people are saying this game's gonna cost $500, $300, $200. We're still gonna buy it. GTA 6? Come on.
already love the game and the studio, and they trust the developers to put out something amazing. But what if you're trying to build something original and don't have a massive IP to back you up? This is the story for a lot of developers. Success can actually set you up for failure if you go too big too fast. When we look at Landfall, we see a much different approach. Every year since 2021,
Legendary game.
yes, that was almost 5 years ago, they've released
Bro, can we just go back to this right here, man? Do you understand how many legendary YouTubers were playing this game back in the day? Like, you don't even understand. I'm pretty sure like there were Laser Beam Let's Plays, Corey Kenshin Let's Plays, like Hijack, stuff like that. Everybody who was doing gaming was on this game right here. It's so wild to think how like different the gaming community on YouTube back then was than it is now. Everyone's playing a different game, you know? You got YouTubers doing one game. You got a man like Green only playing Minecraft. That's all he does. And then you got people like Berlisi playing all these different games, but none of them are just like those random $2 games on Steam that you play one time and never touch again. This is what I'm trying to do more, because the memories from this are like unbelievable.
Different approach. Every year since 2021, yes, that was almost 5 years ago, they've released at least one game, and sometimes more than that. Their projects have still gotten bigger and more ambitious, but this is mostly just because the team has grown a bit in size and they're way more experienced. This has allowed a much more natural growth in complexity without any crazy scope creep. What's really interesting is if we look even closer at their release dates, you will very quickly notice a pattern. We have Haste, released on April 1st, 2025. Content Warning was released in 2024 on April 1st. Nightfall was released in 2022 on April 1st, and Tabs and Rounds both officially launched on April 1st, 2021. Wait, what about 2023? All right, looks like we have Landfall Archives released on, what the? March 31st?
Why not just wait a day? Why not just wait a day? Yo, boys had to accidentally leak that one right there, bruh. And you're like, well, we can't go back on it now. I'm hoping that was an accident for your sake. Also, Landfall Archives never works for me. I don't know what the hell the problem is. I've tried to download that game like 3 times. It never works. Kind of tough.
Well, it looks like this video's ruined. Thanks, Landfall Archives. You couldn't have waited one day. Anywho,
Literally.
you get the point. Every
Like
year
6
they
hours?
release a brand new game on April 1st, which they've effectively branded as Landfall Day. April 1st fits their wacky, sort of physics-based identity and gives them a non-negotiable
April
release
Fool!
date. That gives them hard deadlines they have to build toward. If something won't be ready in time, it gets cut. It might get added later in an update, but shipping that one game every single year isn't just a promise to you guys as players, but also them as developers. And what makes this more interesting is this isn't just a good practice for them, this is actually a marketing strategy. Put yourself in the shoes of a YouTuber who likes to cover games as soon as they come out. Landfall has essentially told you that they are going to have a game on this day every single year for you to expect. This means that you can already have this date marked down in your calendar for your content plan. Same goes for any gaming news website. They know they're going to be expecting to write a Landfall article that day. This heavily boosts their day one sales due to how much extra exposure they're getting just by releasing on this day. It's going to be an amazing signal to Steam to push your game out as organically as possible, and when Steam decides to push your game out organically because it's making them a lot of money, you're about to make a lot of money. I mean, sales are going to be through the roof. Now, one big concern about releasing a game on April 1st is the amount of competition happening that day. It's kind of a tradition for a lot of games to add a bunch of like wacky features and things that are only going to be around on April 1st. That means there's a lot more competition for headlines. That's a big issue, right? Wrong. The increased amount of gaming news happening on April 1st is going to bring more people on YouTube, more people to gaming news sites, and
More people are gonna be looking at when they realize, oh, Landfall's the one that made Tabs. Landfall's the one that made that other game I love so much. Content warning. I need to try this new game they just dropped. Genius, bro. The way he's explaining is unbelievable, dog. This guy's amazing.
what do you think is going to get the biggest spotlight? A gag update that doesn't add any real meaningful content to the game, or a whole freaking game by a reputable studio? This all leads to a perfect release date and marketing strategy for the studio without spending a single extra dollar. Marketing obviously gets a lot of eyes on your product, but when you're dealing with a lot of multiplayer first games that require you to have people to play with, how do you make sure that people can actually convince their friends to buy the game? That's where strategy number 2 comes in. They release their game for completely free or heavily discounted on day 1, and then set it back to normal price shortly after. Let's look at the launch pricing for a lot of Landfall's newest games. We have Peak launching at 38% off, being only $5 instead of $8. Content Warning was completely free if you bought it during the first 24 hours of the game's launch. Landfall Archives launched completely free and is still completely free to this day, and Nightfall released for free for the first 24 hours and then went to $6 after that. By establishing a large day 1 audience for all of their games, they make sure people will be playing and talking about their game as soon as it comes out. The bigger the launch crowd, the more noise the game's going to make online, and the more likely it's just going to continue to snowball and bring more people into the game community. Now,
I think I know what I'm going to be doing next April 1st, dog. I am not missing out on another free game. The way I'm feeling right now that I could have got Content Warning for free is like disappointed myself. I wish I knew about this earlier.
the more likely it's just going to continue to snowball and bring more people into the game community. Now, at first, this could be seen as a little dumb. When you're releasing one game on the same day every single year, and it's probably gonna be free, a ton of people, possibly even millions, are just going to claim the game in that first 24-hour window, and you're not going to make any money on any of those copies. But they aren't playing for a day 1 release. They're banking on your friend that doesn't know Landfall as much, missed the sale, or just forgot to claim it on Steam while it was still free. They want to reward their hardcore fans and sort of use them as free marketing for people that don't know their studio as well. Peer pressure wins again, am I right? No, I'm serious. When you and your friends are deciding what game to play and you're the only one in your friend group that doesn't have this game, it kind of forces your hand. You either buy the game so you can play with your friends, or you sit out while everyone else is having fun without you. And almost every single time, people would rather just buy the game, especially since Landfall prices their multiplayer games relatively cheap. Yes, they care about making a profit from these games, but they're playing a much more long-term strategy. Even if they didn't make quite as much as they could have from one of their cheaper games like Content Warning, since it came out for free and literally millions of people claimed it while it was still free, it got more people interested in Landfall as a whole. And that interest could have translated to sales on a lot of their existing games or future games that they're getting ready to release. Haste came out at $20, which is a pretty solid price tag, especially for Landfall, but because of the momentum they built up with free releases like Content Warning and Nightfall, a bunch of players were already a part of this Landfall ecosystem and were way more likely to buy it. That means any additional sales they generate from those free periods of their games turn into a much larger profit in the long run. Like, even if Content Warning only ended up translating to like 10,000 extra sales on Haste, for example, that is an extra $200,000 that Haste wouldn't have made. And that's not—
Damn! That's the mathematics on down right there, but the long-term strategy they're playing is absolutely insane. The thing I want to say is, why isn't everyone doing it? But you could definitely see, bro, the greed is outrageous in the game community sometimes, you know? These games are dropping the same Call of Duty and, like, FIFA every year and charging you like $100 for it. How am I gonna pay $100 for like what? One new player who just turned 18? I don't want him. And Wan-Bissaka's all in the game. I only know 17-year-old Kobe Mano. I'm gonna be honest with you, we're good. I'm not buying a new FIFA for no reason, dog.
Counting any of the extra word of mouth or hype that it brought the studio. Landfall understands that taking a loss in the short run can help to strengthen their community and keep these games alive. Speaking of keeping games alive, Landfall's also been known to make games free after they've been out for a while and their lobbies are kind of dying out. We've seen this with both Nightfall and Totally Accurate Battlegrounds. Once these games started to struggle to fill up servers, Landfall made the decision to make them free to play again in order to help these games alive for a little bit longer. They realized they weren't going to make much more from these games anyways, so why not try and do some community building with them? Plus, for people who already owned and enjoyed the game, it gave them a more enjoyable experience.
Horrible game. I'm gonna be honest with you. Let me know what y'all boys think about Totally Accurate Battlegrounds, but in my personal opinion, didn't like it as much, man. It wasn't great. I hopped on it like optimistically, played it for a little while. It just didn't have much going on. Probably because the servers were dying out, but still, I wasn't feeling it.
Plus, for people who already owned and enjoyed the game, it gave them a more enjoyable experience, since all of a sudden they had a bunch more people to play with. This isn't just a win for the players, but also Landfall, purely because once again, it brings more people, keeps more people inside of their community. That right there is a win for all parties involved. The last and debatably most important strategy that Landfall has is in choosing which specific games they're going to make. And I don't mean this in the way you might think.
What do you mean then? Strategy number 3
clearly does a lot of prototyping for each game to decide which one they plan to make next. I mean, they released Landfall Archives just to show off a bunch of things that they've done over time that they ended up stopping development on. That alone should tell you how many different ideas they're constantly experimenting with behind the scenes. But when deciding which games to actually pursue and take all the way to release, there's one thing that I think they specifically look for. How well can our players market this game for us? Traditional marketing is expensive and, to be honest, not very effective. Listen, I know every single one of you have subconsciously taught yourself how to hit that skip ad button as soon as the 5 seconds are done. So,
or you could just buy YouTube Premium and then you don't have to worry about that at all. I'm just saying. I am legitimately just saying. That's what I've done. I can't deal with these ads no more. They're starting to get a little bit too comfortable. They're not at the Twitch level yet, but they are very comfortable now.
So how do you make advertisements that are actually effective and connect with people? They have to be made by everyday people without the intention of them being an ad at all. Do you guys remember the whole Grimace Shake meme? Jake from State Farm? Or Free Shavakadu? These were all completely random things that quickly turned into memes and gave the companies behind these a ridiculous amount of free promotion. Nobody was being paid to make these memes, really. I mean, there might have been a person or two. You know, Jake probably made some money, but actual people at home spread them because they thought they were funny, relatable, or just plain weird. I mean, there was sort of an unspoken competition with the Super Bowl to make the weirdest, craziest ads possible. Because when people themselves start to promote a product, whether or not it's intentional, that product is going to blow up. That's why in recent years, I think we have seen so many companies trying to make
Bro, why did they drop this? It was such a legendary concept, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. If y'all never saw the, let me go back to it real quick.
That's why
If y'all never saw that KFC concept, bro, the amount of people talking about this was absolutely insane. It was such a good time.
Years, I think we have seen so many companies trying to make these crazy, memeable products. It's because they know that spending millions of dollars on advertisements can really only take them so far. So what does this have to do with Landfall? Yes, they have an amazing marketing team and a huge presence on social media like TikTok, but where they excel in is creating experiences that basically market themselves. They have games like Tabs, which give YouTubers nearly unlimited content ideas. You can make hundreds of videos testing out different army setups and never run out of outcomes.
And we saw a lot of people doing that. As I was saying earlier, we saw a lot of people hopping on these Landfall games just because of how easy of a video it was, man. I remember seeing like 30 core extension videos on this exact thing right here. Laserbeam was doing the exact same thing, bruh. Come on, it was so easy. That's what you need.
They have games like Haste, which just looks so cool and fun at first glance that
It
you
does.
immediately want to try the game out for yourself. I mean, that game is every single Sonic the Hedgehog fan's dream. And then they have proximity chat-based games like Peak and Content Warning that are entirely designed around creating absolutely insane scenarios which blow up on social media. I mean, Content Warning literally lets you take the videos that you record in-game and export them to your computer so that you can easily share them on social media. That is
Damn.
just advertising built into the game itself. And Peak is just full of unpredictable items and scenarios, which creates such funny and chaotic moments for you and your friends. One minute you're screaming, the next minute you're crying from laughter, and all of that gets clipped and put on social media. When people come across those videos where they genuinely see you having fun and having a good time, that connects with them so much more than any traditional commercial could. They're thinking to themselves, hey, that looks really fun. I want to play that with my friends. And that is exactly the reaction that Landfall is chasing for every single title they put out. People are great at figuring out if something is meant to be an ad, but they're also really good at recognizing when people are having genuine fun and they don't want to be left out. In a GDC talk by Nick Popovich from Slime Rancher, he talks about how important it is for your entire game loop to be shown as a GIF.
GIFs are good. They communicate things very quickly, they're a form of artistic expression, and they're very mobile friendly and easily shareable, especially on Twitter. Can your game design fit inside a GIF? Can I get your game in a GIF? Can I see it and can I get it? I might have questions. Questions are fine. But does it answer something? Does it answer something material? That's what you want to be able to execute on in a GIF.
Everything we just talked about that Landfall does applies to this concept. Making your game easily shareable by the masses is so powerful and is a big reason why Landfall has seen such consistent success. And I'm sure that they have a ton of other cool strategies that they do for their games and to promote their games. But the point is, Landfall is an amazing studio that's completely reinventing how indie games are made. And I mean, with the success of Peak this year, we're really seeing this studio explode. Speaking of Peak, did you know that it actually started as a game jam? If you want to see a bunch more games that started off as game jams, you can click right here. Or
I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. I am definitely gonna be back over here. If you haven't already, make sure you go check out It's Rascal, because this video was absolutely amazing. I can guarantee the rest of the videos are gonna be bangers too. If y'all have something you want to see me react to next, please let me know in the comments. But I'll see you in the next one, broskies. Do say.